I am the CEO of the Art of Confidence Project. Our project is a nonprofit organization where we empower minorities and people of color, and what we want to do is empower them and restore their confidence. And that's what this project is mainly about. So I'm here in Kentucky because I heard about Macie's story. It was something that literally I got close to 7,000 notifications about, and everyone was like, hey, you got to check this out. We got another story again. And I'm just like, oh, what now?
My school, it's always been really racially charged. Like, I've never felt like I was like equal there. And so I've had to go to the principal a lot just for racial issues. And so one day I was out playing kickball, and a student had called me the N-word. So I went to the principal, I went to a teacher, they said, oh, he's not racist, but we'll deal with it. And so after school got shut down and everything, then one of that student's friends, but I didn't know that they knew each other, had added me on Snap. And so then I accepted his friend request. And then I think it was like 2 minutes later that like these messages just start flooding in of just, them calling me the N-word and saying, oh, there's nothing you can do about it, freedom of speech. And just sort of saying that, oh, I shouldn't have told the principal that, about how his friend called me the N-word. It made me really mad. It made me feel like it all could have been avoided if the school would have taken it seriously whenever it happened. Because that kid, the kid who called me the N-word the first time, that was not the first time that he had a racial incident at Southern. He's doing it on purpose, so we can't really call it an accident. But like all 4 years that he had been there, he had had a racial issue every single year. And all we do is give him a slap on the wrist. So I think that if they would have expelled him after, 3 times, then it wouldn't have been a problem because he wouldn't have been at the school. Because these were like grown men. Like they were like 18 and 17 years old,
Right.
Like legally, like they were adults. And so it was just really cowardly of them to come after me, because I'm a sophomore and I'm 5'4", like I can't beat them up. So it was just, it wasn't a cool thing to do. And they didn't even say it to my face. They said it to me over line, which is stupid. Most of them it's been like boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, like texting me, like, oh, they're really not racist, could you please take the post down? They're getting death threats. And I'm like, that was not my intention, but you have to be careful with who you associate with, And like, their actions did this. I didn't do this. It was their actions. Like I didn't do anything to their name. All I did was I said, hey, this is what this person was doing. I didn't even give out their names.
When I heard about it, I just became furious because when I look at her, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like just a child. She's a kid, she's about 5 foot something and look like this little innocent child. And you think about these people hiding behind keyboards, saying these different things. And you're kind of like, man, I wish she had an older brother. So just kind of, I know that's wrong. I know that's kind of wrong on some levels, but it's like, it's so cowardly when somebody can hide behind the keyboard and say something. And one thing that I'm very adamant about is Black women are so disrespected in this world and in this country. And there's not a lot of people defending our queens, and that's what needs to happen. And the fact that none of her friends kind of stood in the way and said, hey, where's this guy at? Let's have a conversation or let's do something about this. It really got to me. So I knew that this was a project absolutely for us to go and cover. When it comes to these stories, I really like the stories that have been brought up in the media. And the reason why is because I know that the TV production crew, they're going to fact check a lot of things. And that way it's not a he say, she say kind of thing. They kind of vet the sources. Then they try to interview those individuals. And then sometimes they'll turn it down because they know what they did was wrong. So I knew the story, 1, had already been vetted. 2, when I first did this program, it was supposed to be for all children. It was supposed to be for the youth. And when I say the youth, I mean Black, white, brown children, all children. And the issue that I kept having was it was always children of color that kept going through something that they really didn't have a voice. So I changed it from all children to children of color to minorities, because there's not really those voices for us. And sometimes you only see people with those blue check marks on Instagram or Facebook. They'll take a certain story because it's the it story. But I wanted to take all the stories that weren't heard or that wasn't national so that attention could be brought to it. And the climate that we're in this world today, like, it's something about girls that do it for me because of my daughters. Like, I am a hands-on father. I love being a dad. There's nothing more important to me than being a father. That's why my princess is here today. And I kind of said to myself, like, what would I have done if I was your father and that happened? Like, I know what I would have done. Like, your mom would have had to bail me out. Like, so I'm glad that your father has a lot of reserve, and maybe your mom does too, but like,
a couple weeks ago, they had a meeting for all of the minority athletes. It's just sad that the coaches have to do that because the school won't be like, hey, all minorities come here on this, time. It's the coaches who are taking it into in their own hands. Coach Clark, the football coach, he's a great guy. He was really shocked about what all the players were saying, because he had no idea that it was going on. Because no one talks about it. Because I think that one of the main things that I got from that meeting is a lot of us are scared to say something. Like, at one point, he said, how many of you guys have been called the N-word while you were at school? And every single hand went up. And he was just shocked. He was like, you guys know that's not okay, right? Like, you shouldn't have to go through that. But I think that it's just easier to say nothing than to, cause a riot.
It's the same reason that you see all these corporations and companies now that say Black Lives Matter. A lot of them don't believe Black Lives Matter. The reason why they're saying it is because it's going to help their bottom line. It's going to make it seem like they're socially conscious, which is not the case with a lot of those companies. It's the same thing with your school. The only problem with the school that you go to is they didn't even accept accountability. They never even acknowledged what happened to you. So they're the worst of the worst, in my opinion. And this is something where I feel this school has to be held accountable. I feel the school should be getting behind you, finding counselors or people that will advocate for you and say, hey, we got your back, but not just you, but other children of color that go to that school, to give them a place that they feel is safe, because that's what matters in today's climate. Right now, we are literally on the brink of almost having race wars in America. And where does racism come from? It's taught. So if the parents are teaching this, their children are seeing this, so then the children think it's okay to go ahead and say those things that they said to you. But then they think, oh, okay, well, if you want to protest against something, now they feel like they can use force against you. So the next step after verbally saying something, next is physically. And if the school doesn't do anything about it, I'm afraid it's going to escalate to physical confrontation. Then you're going to have something way more worse on your hands. So I'm hoping that there's some kind of legislative that takes place. There's some kind of bylaws, whatever that the school has in place is changed. I'm hoping that who's ever in charge is removed and they put someone else in that school to actually advocate for these children, but also to maybe add diversity amongst their panel. I don't know who their board of directors is or what they look like, and I'm almost certain they're not people of color. I'm sure. So you can't have people discussing people of color issues that are not people of color. So I'm hoping that changes within that school. But I just hope that this media spotlight that's going to be shined on this is shined on is so bright that it blinds them of their ignorance, and that they start accepting what they've been doing, but then do something to change it. The reason why we have so many protests and the reason why a lot of things got violent is because we have been asked to be peaceful for so long. We have been asked to be cordial for so long. And we think that we have all these opportunities and that we think that we're accepted. And when situations like what happened to you happens, it lets us know that we're still back, all the way back in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s. Nothing has even changed from there. The only thing different from that time and this time is that we're able to record what's happening and what's going on. And now we have screenshots. And I think it's so key that we hold people accountable, because you're our youth, you know, and the older generation has done their thing. They've done the peaceful marching. They've done trying to speak to Congress. They've done trying to speak to the president, all these people, and it still falls on deaf ears. And it's not until people start raising some kind of hell to where they're like, oh my, okay, yo, okay, we see something here and we get something from it. So for me, to see a beautiful Black girl to be called these words, and I can only imagine how you felt behind closed doors, let alone, you know, what was shown on TV or whatnot. But it's one of those things when you put yourself in their shoes and you really try to see what it would feel like. And I know what it feels like watching other people be called names or other things like that, because I watch things that happen on TV and I'm like, why does this never happen when I'm around? Like, I wish for once it happened when I'm around. And so you kind of feel like that you can be that, almost not like a hero for that person, but a spokesman for that person, so that you can give that person a voice. And she already has a voice, but we want to amplify that voice so that everybody hears it. And I love the fact that now she wants to be an activist of her own and that she wants to help other people. And that's what this is about, paying it forward and creating success stories. So now you'll see her as the next Shaun King. You'll see her as the next bright future of our youth. You'll see her as the next president of the United States. So, but it starts young. And if we do not help them get their confidence and empower them, we can let situations like this really kind of pull them back to say, okay, well, maybe I'm not good enough, or, well, maybe I am ugly because of my skin complexion, or maybe I'm not as good as my dad because he's Black and my mom's white, or whatever the case may be. And I want to say I'm proud of you for owning up to who you are and what you stand for. And that to me is the epitome of the Art of Confidence project. So I'm proud to have you part of the project.